Welcome to another edition of Talking with Kevin and Son, featuring people you should know. Hi, I'm Kevin McLemore. I am your show host, four-time published author, matter of fact, an award-winning author, wordsmith, and mindset messenger. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Our mission is to give power to your voice, inspire, share stories and experiences and perspective using the framework of teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every single day. Now, like all of my guests, they are very successful people, and successful people create a framework around their day-to-day life that normally they it enhances their life. And sometimes, like my guest today, they pour into others. The conversation you will ask yourself is how do I get my business to stand out from every other competitor and to increase my revenue and referral business? Today's guest is one of the top entrepreneurs to watch in 2025. He is a mindset master, which he creates unforgettable gifts. And he has a company that's called Top Mind Gifts. I think I said that right. So without me screwing up his resume, and he's got a long resume, and I will say this, okay? My guest is been in a successful marriage for 28 years. Dean, please correct me. He has three wonderful children, Erica, 25, Elena, 23, and Big Benjamin, 15. All right. Like I said, he is one of the top professional mindset people, professional risk taker. That's my little title. And he's been a good friend. Dean, I hope I didn't screw up your whole bio or tell too many secrets ahead of time, but welcome to Talking with Kevin and Son. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I think you did just fine. I'm a little bit honored. Didn't realize I was such an important person.
You know something, when you're above ground, everyone's important. And when you're a person such as yourself that is always giving back, that makes you VIP.
Well, there you go.
There you go. So, how is everything in, you're in Canada right now?
Yeah. And things are rosy. I don't know, I talked to a lot of Americans, a lot of people overseas, a lot of Canadians, and ultimately we're all in good shape. We're all friends. It's just a couple of people that are making life difficult for most of us. So things are all good that way.
Well, I am hoping I'm not one of those difficult people. I hope I'm in the friend zone, and I understand the plight of Canadians because we suffer the same plight, and we live here right in the United States. I hate to divide my audience, but that's just my personal feeling. But anyway, you have an amazing story. Like I said, I love entrepreneurs. My tagline is I call them professional risk takers because they do things that other people wish they could do, and they just don't do them. And you have been in the space of creating what marketing people would love to do is creating great concepts and great gifts for people in business to keep the conversation of your business going. But I do know this. You have three young people that are in your life. If I were to sit down with each of your children, and matter of fact, I would start with Benjamin asking him this question, is that I would say, Benjamin, can you tell me what dad's favorite thing to do is?
Hmm.
And what would Benjamin say?
Well, I would I'm going to go with soccer simply because his entire world revolves around that. And I do a lot of driving and taking him there and watching and everything else. And I like to play too. So that would probably be the answer. Pickleball might
Football
be
might be.
close second.
All right. And so with Erica and Elena being in their 20s, I would have to ask this question because one of them would know the answer. You tell me which one would answer this question. Who's dad's favorite child?
I think because they're close together and sisters, they would probably both say Benjamin, just to be safe.
Just to be safe. That's all right. So you've been in this business, this mind space, a long time. Um, tell me the beginning of this story, how you came into it, and what was your first obstacle or struggle before you found success in this space?
Well, I'm going to pause 1 second. I have to give kudos. Big Benjamin, as you called him, as of 2 days ago, has now surpassed me. So he is genuinely the biggest in the house now. So very proud of that. He is, and I'll never live it down now.
How tall is
Anyway,
he?
he's just shy of 6 feet, and I'm about 5'11". So
It's funny that you tell a story. I am 5'11". My son is 6'2". And just before, well, he turned 16, we went out for a run, and my son has never been able to outrun me. I've got my education on a track scholarship, and my son, we went out for a 3 mile run. Halfway, at the halfway point, I turned around and I thought I was running too fast for him, and he turned around and disappeared, and then came back to run with me. And I was not ready for my son to one up me at 16 years of age. So, how's it feel to be the short man in the house?
I'm okay with it. And we've had a lot of fun the last year because my wife is a lot shorter. And so she's always, if people can see, she's always measuring him, but she's going up. So she's like, oh, he's 6 feet. He's taller than you. For the last year, it's been like that. And I said, you can't measure somebody with a book going like this to see where how tall they are. You got to have it level. And fortunately, I'm happy about it. He is now, even with a level playing field, so to speak, he's now officially taller. And I totally relate to the kids growing up thing because I coached soccer have for, well, I guess 15 years or so from the time my oldest was just starting when I started to learn right up until a couple years ago. And I'd always been able to outplay all the kids.
Hmm.
And probably about 2 years ago, he's in high performance soccer now. And we got to the point where it was kind of a little bit of a boasting. Yeah, we can still take you. To the point where a year and a half ago, I had to just kind of throw the towel in and say, I'm just not as good as you anymore. So
Right.
it's only a matter of time, and they always grow up and take that position.
All right. So, I hope our audience got a chance to see. I mean, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, the expression and of when a proud father talks about one, his successful marriage, talks about his love and his compassion for his kids, and the changing of the guards when the kids start to transition from the children we have to the young adults and adults we have to live with going forward. But I've always wanted to ask this question. I mentioned that you're a professional risk taker, and I say that to all entrepreneurs. And like I said, I'll repeat, I love entrepreneurs, love them. Everyone can play it safe by going to a job. Um, but as an entrepreneur, we all talk about our failures, but I've never asked this question. How do you know when you're successful as an entrepreneur?
What a question. Um, I think a good measuring stick is when other people want to be like you, when they want to learn from you, when they want to emulate you or kind of achieve the same level of success you've had. I certainly have people out there that, that's the case for me and they would be successful. And I'd like to think, or, at least starting to get to the point where I'm viewed in that eyes by some other people. So I think that's a good measuring stick that, that's money. Everybody has different views, different levels of fame or other things. But in my mind, when other people are looking up to you, that would define that you're successful.
Now, the same way that you measured your son looking up, at some point coming up, you had to look up to someone else. Who was the person that was the most influential to you, and who carried the measuring stick for you to rise up to be where you're at now?
Man, you bring on the tough ones. Um,
These are the easy ones. Everyone had a mentor. We started from someone.
um, well, there's so many though. I'm going to go one direction, kind of tied into my business now, because it's been a full circle situation. But in university, I'm an engineering physicist by education. So how I got to where I'm doing now, that's the whole story. But when I first started in the sales side of it and started being an entrepreneur, one of the people that was managing me at the time, and I'll throw it out there, his name is Joe Cardillo. He was really inspiring in the sense that he was a young guy but successful and just had a charisma about him that inspired me. And looking back, it's kind of funny because in hindsight, having seen what I've seen now, it's not that it was anything incredible or different or whatever, but at the time it had a huge impact. And that I would say honestly is, maybe a starting of the tipping point of when I got into independent sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, and never looked back.
All right. And how's it feel to be an independent owner?
Uh, I don't know any other feeling. I I always like to joke I talk myself out of jobs or I get fired because I have an opinion and I really have a tough time holding it back if somebody disagrees with me, especially if they're above me. So um, I I just kind of go to my own tune, I guess you could say. And I like being an owner. I like having the control. Sometimes some people, my lovely wife, says I'm a workaholic, but I think for people that are out there in the world that are doing 9 to 5, it's very defined. This is when I start work. This is when I end work, and that's the way it is. As an entrepreneur, I think everybody can probably relate to the fact that there is no 9 to 5 as an entrepreneur. There may be days when you're working on the weekends. There may be evenings you're working late. You may have to get up early. But there's also 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I can go pick my son up from school and take him to practice, things like that. Or I can take holidays without having to beg and plead and ask somebody if I have permission to do so. And I can work when I'm in Mexico if I want to, or things like that. So I think the benefits way offset the downsides of the flexibility and things like that. I don't even
So
know
you're
what,
not,
but hopefully that was
no,
the
you answered it very well. So you're not afraid of failure.
answer. I could not be afraid of failure because I've been there. So it's never fun, but at the same time, they talk about character and becoming a better person, learning from your mistakes, and I agree with that. I've certainly had my fair share of uh, unfortunate events or failure in the past, and it's not pleasant, but it has helped shape and kind of determined where I go from there. So as long as you learn from it, I think there's always a road ahead.
And that's the reason why I said that the key point when I say a professional risk taker is that I think, and there's nothing wrong with having a job because we all need a launching pad, a jump start to somewhere to learn how to do business, to learn about how to treat employees, to learn what it's like to show up on time, or to build a platform, or to create a product that someone wants or a service that someone wants. And so I'm not downplaying having a job. It's just for some people that look at the ocean and they see a good place to swim, while other people look at the ocean and look at the horizon line and going, I want to know what's on the other side of there. I can't wait to get to the other side. And that's the mindset of what I think is a entrepreneur. That person that takes a small idea and turns that small idea to something amazing, amazing like a top-minded gift company or top-minded awareness. So let's go ahead and jump into the fire of what you do, and why is it important? Your company is called Top of Mind Gifts. What is top mind awareness? What is that, and why is that important for business?
Um, Well, I think there's a misconception. Top of mind for a lot of people is, can I remember somebody? Have I forgotten or are they top of mind? But the reality is, true top of mind awareness is very rarely achieved. You talk about what's your wife's name? What's your kid's name? What country do you live in? Those are things that are top of mind. You don't have to stop, you don't have to think, you don't have to recall them. They're right there. Whereas being in memory, being someplace where you can be recalled possibly, but it takes some effort, that is not top of mind. And where I'll distinguish that, especially in business, is if somebody is giving referral, if you're looking for, a referral from a client or things like that, just because they like you and just because they would refer somebody to you does not mean that they can, because human nature, unfortunately keeps getting smaller and smaller, but we've got about a 3 to 5 second attention span. So if I ask you, hey Kevin, do you know a good plumber or a realtor or something like that, whatever it is, if you can't answer me in that 3 to 5 seconds, that's it. We're gone. We're on to the next subject. And honestly, nobody's going to go home and look me up and, find the right person and stuff like that. You may have had an awesome plumber. You may have had a realtor that you've worked with many, many years, but can you recall their name in that 3 to 5 seconds? That is top of mind awareness. And there is most people, most clients would refer the businesses they work with. They like them, but that does not mean that they're able to refer them. So top of mind is the ability to be instantly recalled without having to put any effort into it, specifically in this case for referrals.
And how did you turn that mindset into um, a business? Let's talk about the Gift Master.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it takes a little bit of going back. But back in university, Joe Cardillo and so on, I'd started off and I sold Cutco. So I was recruited. Probably a lot of your listeners out there, there's stories about people selling knives, being sold, being in presentations and so on. It's a pretty well-known name, I would say, and it's a really high-end product. So I'd never done sales. I went into this interview and they pulled out some knives and I was like, well, it's kind of different and cool. Started selling them, did really well, ran an office and a district and so on. And the reason I mention that is because the product itself, I'm a big believer that you have to be passionate about what you do in any capacity. And if you're in sales, you have to be passionate about your product. And I can't be passionate about something that I don't believe in, that I don't use, that I wouldn't sell my parents, etc.
Mhm.
And so Cutco foundationally plays into that. So then I went through, I actually, I'm a numbers guy, a little bit of a geek. So I wanted to get into financial services, ran a company there for 10 years, took some time off when Benjamin was born. And then, funny the way the world works, but my daughter, 25 years later, was recruited by Cutco or by Vector to sell Cutco knives. And she came home all excited and telling me about this. And I had to unfortunately break the news to her that this wasn't brand new and that this is actually what her dad did years and years ago, which totally deflated her excitement. But it got me back in touch with some of the management. And where this ties together now is I've had Cutco used it my whole life, love it. And I'd always wanted to get back in touch just to touch base, see how things are going. But with COVID and with the way things worked out, I was like, how do you sell a physical, tangible product like Cutco or anything else where when I sold it, you cut stuff, you held it, and how do you do that over Zoom? And he had told me that actually they were having some of their best years ever, mainly because of the efficiencies of things like this. The ability to do a meeting, a sales call, and to book 8 of them in a day instead of 2, uh, more than offset, any kind of luck or any kind of reduction in the numbers. And it's a little bit more of a household name, especially here in Canada now, 30 years later. And so that interested me. And then we got onto the subject of kids and life and what's going on. And he'd mentioned this business gifting program that had come about in the last 10 years and just kind of was telling me about it, sounded me out a bit, what are you doing these days? And I was actually looking for something to do. So I was like, oh, tell me more about it. And the concept is really simple. It is businesses give gifts. They want to show appreciation. They want to be remembered. They want to say thanks. And a lot of them spend money on consumables, things that really don't have a big impact. And so the business gifting program with Cutco came about because you've got a high-end product that's guaranteed and lasts forever. You've got something that everybody uses. Last time we checked, nobody's ripping food apart with their hands anymore. And you've got something that everybody uses every day. So when you think about the marketing and the branding side of that, if you have a way to be interacting with a client, if not every day, multiple times a week, that is what it takes to be top of mind. And that is really hard to achieve with almost anything else. You need to have about 37 touches per year to stay top of mind with somebody. And that doesn't include doing a post every day on Instagram or something like that. So the idea behind taking Cutco as a product and using it to create that top of mind awareness, instantly made sense to me. I know it as a person, as a user, as a salesperson. I knew the biggest objection most people have is the price because it's a high-end product. So the idea of a way for a business to say thanks and to have a client receive something that's awesome they're going to use and have something that you can systemize so that everybody can use it. I'm all about scalability too, was very unique. Now, all that being said about Cutco, one of my biggest challenges when I'm talking to people about what exactly I do is this ties into the gift master. I don't sell Cutco. I just made this whole rant about it. I love it, but I don't sell Cutco. What I sell, what top of mind gifts is all about, is helping businesses achieve top of mind awareness with their clientele, with their staff. And I use Cutco to do that because it's a very effective tool. So when people start thinking, knives and stuff, they think, oh, it's a good gift for a chef. It's a good gift for somebody who likes to cook. The interesting thing is that actually those people have good knives. They can appreciate it. But if you can picture here as a business, if you can give somebody a product that they're going to need, they're going to use, they're going to see it all the time, remember you. And most people that can't afford or have never justified buying a good knife, they're actually a better candidate because this is the only one they have. And so again, if you put yourself in the mindset of what can I do as a business? What can I give somebody that they are going to think of me every day and in a positive light, and they're going to be using and interacting with me effectively with my gift for the rest of their lives. That kind of a mindset and philosophy ties into the gift master side of it. And it's not that that's the only thing that I sell, it's just a very effective tool part of it. Does that make
Right.
sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And matter of fact, I mean, you brought back the day when I started out in car sales selling business. I was the youngest car salesman in Dayton, Ohio. Thank you, Mr. Tom Harrican Oldsmobile. They gave me a shot. But what made me stand out is that one, at point of sale, I knew birthday, the date that they bought the car, what their first three services were, the anniversaries, all the kids' names, and their birthdays. And I made it a point, if not on that day or before, I reconnected. And basically, the first thing I would say is, "How's life treating you?" My grandfather used to always say, "How you living?" And so that's something I've always adapted. I've had a 7 year old tell me probably the best line that's ever happened. He goes, "I'm living my best life at 7 years old." And I said, that is so cool to hear a 7 year old say that. So let's talk about, you have a product that I just love, and it's your 3D card
Mm.
um, company that you have. It's another end of what you do. And I know that because of the internet, social media, and technology, we don't use business cards the way that we used to. But I do know that in life and in business, everything comes back to where it began. It becomes personal, and the business card becomes personal. But you created a whole nother level. Now I have a box of your cards here, but because of the way my studio set up with the green screen, I cannot show that without it kind of fading out. But I don't know if you have them here. Tell us about your 3D products, your cards, and why is this so important, and what makes you more unique, or makes a person that's carrying your cards more unique than the person that just decides to give me your information, put it on the phone.
Yep, for sure. So there's a number of things there. Yes, I've got cards, but I want to show you one to start with. So everybody can see this. And this is my card. There's a race card.
That's
The
cool.
reason I start with that is I think I can guarantee that every single person that just watched that did exactly what you did. A little bit of a grin, a little bit of a child came back out and said, "That's cool." And
Right.
that is the essence of why they're so effective because nobody else does it. Everybody's got a little kid in them, from the top CEOs down to the janitor, and everybody has the same reaction. It's bizarre. I've never seen something so universal. So, funny story of how that got started. I do a lot of networking, meet a lot of people, and I met somebody. We were talking about the fact that I do Cutco, and he said, "You know what? My wife did a website for a guy who sells pop-up cards." And I thought, "Oh, gifts, maybe it's worth." And he said, "I think they did a Cutco one." And that, of course, tweaked me. And I was like, really? And so I had a meeting just based on that. I was like, I heard you did a pop-up Cutco knife card. And sure enough, he did. And it was cool. And I started the same thing there going immediately. Well, this is a card every Cutco person needs to sell and give out and stuff because it's just so fitting. But then my marketing kind of brain kicked in and went into overdrive because I saw more and more that we've done over 400 different models now. So if you can imagine, actually you can't imagine. You got to go on the website or see them firsthand as you have now. But pretty much we can build anything. So I did the race car there. Speaking of the car dealerships and stuff like that, I kind of in my vision, my entrepreneurial way, I would love to see the next Porsche or the next Lamborghini or Mercedes be built as an actual 3D replica of the car as a pop-up. If you can imagine spending a couple hundred grand on a vehicle and you're rich, you've got lots of money, you've seen it all, and your salesperson like yourself wants to be different, and they gave you a thank you card with your car that pops up. That would have an impact, right?
That will be cool. That will be cool.
And you'd remember it and you'd show other people. And I'm all about getting benefit without asking for it. So
Mhm.
what I mean by that is if you can give somebody something just out of appreciation, and they will then take that and tell other people about it without being prompted, that's pretty powerful. That's the kind of word of mouth, the kind of referral business that people want. I want my customers excited about me for whatever reason and telling other people about them. And that's what the cards achieve. Whether it be Christmas cards, whether it be the business cards, and I'll show you some of those, but ultimately having something that's unique, something that's different, and I think something that can actually impress people that are hard to impress, the people that have seen all the different gadgets. Like you said, this is old school. I kind of think the world's in like about a 40-year cycle in a way.
Right.
Back in the day, the 70s, 60s, it was handshake deals. It was I know you, you live down the street, friends, whatever else. And that moved into, as we advanced, higher tech, went into computers and then electronic and social media and so on. And I was lived through all that, and it was really neat seeing it expand and all the improvements and all the information that was available and so on. And in the last 10 years, probably, but 5 years especially, we've, I think as a culture, we've turned around and said, there's too much. I don't even know how to separate what. I could never go through all the information that's there. How do I make a decision? And funny enough, we're now back to who do you know? Can you refer somebody to me? I need to feel comfortable with them. It's the personal side of it. So
Mhm.
that ties in a lot with the cards because it's the old school. You get it in the mail. It's not a bill. It's something tangible. You feel it. You see it. These in specific they're called kirigami. It's a Vietnamese art form like origami. And you've got laser cut paper, high quality. It's a sensory experience as well. And that has an impact nowadays, maybe more than ever, because everything else is electronic. And then you'd mentioned it for events, for vendors at trade shows. There's so many applications, but we do the cards. Here's another one, for realtors, for example. If you're giving somebody a thank you card, why not give them a house as a pop-up? We build the 3D models to pretty much spec. We
Mhm.
can't do anything, but we can get pretty darn close. I'll spill the beans on something later. And it's across the industries. I'm just doing this because I love the cards.
Mhm.
So this one is for tradespeople, right? There's a little vehicle.
Okay.
My joke going around is that you want to be thematic. So I've talked to a plumber and I said, you know what you need to do? You need to have a toilet that pops up. That just picture that. Somebody gets your business card and that's what's popping up. They're going to tell people about it. And that's what it's all about. Um, Two other ones, just for variety. This one, a lot of people, wine, whiskey drinkers. There's a custom brand. For travel, here's a little airplane. Imagine that as a travel agent. Thank you. And I'm going to put it out there. This is kind of scary and risky, but this is my card now. And as you can imagine, there's me. There's the
Ah, and
in
that's even had a profile.
yeah. And I joke. Some people say that's creepy. Some people say that's hilarious. But across the board, I say, well, you're ever going to forget me though? Not a one. So
Right.
I joke about it, but at the same time, that is what I'm trying to achieve, top of mind awareness. There is no other pop-up card guy. There is no other, yeah, I saw his head on a business card. That's unique and that makes me stand out.
Well, you touched on something about when I speak, and especially when you're talking about selling and not selling, that everything has to become personal since we come out of COVID. Is that I also understand the mindset um, of people now is that in order before you have to ask, you basically have to give three times. All right, with your business card, um, you show the large version and you show the smaller version. And I know one of the things that, and I still carry it. I have a business card holder that looks like a small briefcase, and when I open it, everyone pays attention. Now, the unique thing on there, and my head is spinning that I'm getting cards made by you. My grandfather always said that he puts two people in the same space for a reason. It takes a fool to walk away without saying hello. So the back of my card is before you see my information, it says hello. I
Nice.
have very few people that have ever thrown my card away just because of that on being on the back of it said hello. And I'm thinking if the pop-up card said hello with my information, then it directs them to my information. Are your cards available to fit in a business card holder, or do we have to carry a briefcase to get the big cards in there?
Well, for the big cards, a briefcase for sure. But the business cards, and we call them that because they're actual business card size. I mean, they're thicker, obviously, because of the pop-up, but they are the actual dimensions of a business card. So they fit in those just fine. And one thing I've talked to a lot of people about is when you say business card, you think of an 80-cent quick print. Maybe people put more money into them and try and make them nicer. I had better ones before. But this is so much more than a business card. This is marketing in a whole new way in a business card size. And the reason I say that is it gets the information conveyed, but it does so much more that a business card doesn't. And that's why, again, they're so effective. When you give them out, people A, keep them, and B, again, they show other people. Now, how, if you can imagine, how many people have ever taken any business card, not just kept it, but showed somebody else and said, "Hey, look at this guy's business card." Right? I mean, that's insane, but
Yes.
people do it. And it's not because of your business, ego aside, it's because this is just flipping cool. But it achieves the goal.
But it also says something about you because you've taken the time to make it personal. It's not an instant print or whatever people are using these days. And it's not the dot where you just put your phone against someone else's phone or whatever. It becomes personal. It says that, it says a lot about you, not just wanting to promote or product or service. It says the thing is, I don't want you to forget me without saying it. All
Yeah.
right. How do people get in touch with you, and how do people place an order, and what's the process of getting cards made? What's that process? If you and I sitting down, let's take for example, my grandfather says hello.
Yeah.
One, let's find out how to get in touch with you, and then walk me through the process.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the best way, I'm one of those old school guys. I still answer my phone, so that's probably the easiest. It's 306-229-6411, and email. Everybody's got an email, and then mine's simple. It's Dean at topofmindgifts plural.ca. So the website topofmindgifts.ca, it all ties together. Any social media, topofmindgifts.ca or top of mind gifts. So any of those forms, but it's easy enough to search me up on the internet, even because, again, of the uniqueness of what I do and what we're able to offer. And then the other website that we've done specifically for the pop-up cards now, because they're very popular, is Strategic 3D, as in the number three, the letter D, cards, strategic3dcards.com, and that's focused just on the pop-ups.
Is that case sensitive? That 3D?
No,
All right, that's cool. So walk me through the process. I am very interested, and I would like um, to place an order?
Yep.
Do I send you artwork? I'm already assuming that it's more expensive than me just buying the instant print cards. And nothing wrong with instant print, so please don't get upset.
Yep.
So walk me through the process. What do you need from me to get started?
Yep, for sure. Well, first of all, everybody wants to know prices, and I'm not shy about that at all. This is quality stuff. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I first found out. But the cards, like you said, the small ones, 4.5 by 4.5, mediums are about 6 by 6 and inches, and then the big ones 6 by 8, and the business cards are business card size. And they range from about $6 to $9 a piece on the bigger ones, and about 3.75 on the small ones.
For each or for the box of 500?
Each, for sure.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's not a cheap business card you buy 500. Now, a lot of people do buy 500, but you don't necessarily buy 500 to leave them on a table or to throw out at an event and try and basically a lot of times people just try and get rid of them. Here, take a card. Here,
Mhm.
take a card. They're more targeted, they're more special, and they should be used that way. But they come at that premium price. For what you get, though, I think it's a bargain. And then there's quantity discounts as well. So price aside now, everything that I do is personal. And what I mean by that is this isn't an e-commerce business. It's not something where it's just, put in your information and go. We need to have a chat. We need to talk about what your aim is, what's your objective, what's your business, kind of your theme. How are we conveying you through the cards to people? Because don't put your name, don't put your company name, don't put your logo. You have a great logo, but don't put that in the card. That's the marketing side. The card is about the experience. Make the pop-up like the buildings behind you, or make it, in your case, anybody I've done podcasts with, the old school metal microphone, the
Mhm.
traditional one, that would be the pop-up for a podcast host, right? Those kind of things, you see it, you immediately feel it, and you know it. But we need to talk to figure that out. So I set up a session, talk to people. We start off pretty quickly about, here's the idea, here's the prices, here's, what we're doing. Do you like it or not? And if you do, then we need to go into a more in-depth session about how do we make your card. And then from there, we go through the process. I'm pretty creative, but I'm not by any means the graphic artist. So once I get the concept, we pass it on to the actual pros, and then they do the creation and the proofing, send it back, communication back and forth. And like you said, this isn't an overnight process. This is to build a custom model. We ask for about 60 days. So from start of the concept right through delivery, about 60 days. So it's not quick. And that's a good thing because it lets us get the time to build them properly. Uh,
Mhm.
So once we get to the point of getting them underway, the proofing process is done, then they're created by hand. Like there's obviously laser printing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
They're actually manufactured and put together still by hand. They're made in Vietnam. It's a Vietnamese art form. That's where it came from. So they're manufactured there, but we can ship anywhere in the world. And there's minimum print quantity is 150 to do a run, but discounts start at 250. That's where most people go, 10% off, and then it goes up from there to tens of thousands. And this is where the I would argue they're applicable to almost any business. If you're just a solopreneur and you want to have some cards that are cool, or you want to give out some Christmas cards to your top clients, we have a package for you. If you're on the flip side, a large multinational enterprise level business launching a new technology or a new vehicle, or if you can imagine again, like Porsche coming in and saying, we want to have these for all of our distributors everywhere in North America. You can do 10, 50, 100,000. The scope is wide open. And again, the applications are different, but ultimately, fundamentally, the benefit is the same. So we have our little discussion, we do the proofing together, we go back and forth. We need a 50% deposit because once we start working on them, the cost is there. And we deal with committed people. And I'm not shy about talking about any of this. I don't like tire kickers. I'm very much an honest person. So I have thick skin. Tell me no, tell me you don't like it, whatever. That's okay. But don't string me along, and I won't do the same thing to you either. Let's just have an honest, open conversation, get to the point faster. And And I'm a little bit ADHD, so as you can tell, I'm all over the place, which probably is a benefit in a lot of entrepreneurial situations.
Oh, you're doing well.
Good. And so, anyways, yeah, back to the process. Then we get sent to manufacturing once it's approved. They make the product, they prepare it, ship it. That itself probably takes close to a month. And then you've got your cards and you get, it's like Christmas. You open up the box, you see them, you pull them out, and despite the fact that you built them and you know exactly what you're getting, you still get the same grin and you still go, oh, this is so cool. And it's even better if it's your own. And
Yeah.
then give them out.
And the nice thing about it, I like the way that you are direct. ADHD, we all have that. And I think that's the way business should be. You should be honest with people. You should not waste people's time. I mean, there's a lot of people that drive by that window shop and they have great intentions, but they don't attend.
Yeah.
This is one of those products, and I hope Porsche does hear this and decides to use your business card as something to make them stand out at their auto shows, at their premiere launching, at the testing of their new cars, and even with the exploration of their dream cars that they're trying to put feelers out. It's a lot easier.
Here's the car one again.
Yeah,
This is why I did this. You know, the white circle? My
yeah.
vision was this is the show car, right? That's going around at the event, the big car show. That's the little thing that's set up and it's perfect for that. And it's funny whether it's Porsche, I guess they have done a good job marketing because that's the name that comes to mind. But whether it's Porsche, whether it's Benz, whether it's Mercedes, higher end, but one company's going to do it and they're going to do it first and they are going to blow the market away. So it's not a matter of if or who, it's just a matter of when, which is exciting.
And some automobile manufacturer will pop in and say, "This is a good idea. Let me stand out." There are a lot of new vehicles coming out, especially with the EVs.
Yep,
This would be excellent for some people that are just getting into that market that have an excellent product that
yep.
needs brand awareness. And I'm sure Cutco is using this. I wish that I had more time to actually have you. I remember Cutco, and I've always loved them, and I met people that did very well in it. As much as people don't like multi-level marketing or whatever, I know a lot of people that have been extremely successful in that area, especially even with Cutco.
Yep.
I had a cameraman that was doing that while he was going to Villanova, and that's how he paid for his education. And my son's a chef, so maybe I can talk Cutco to coming in here and doing a live demonstration on the show and
Absolutely.
letting
I
us, or
make it
maybe
happen.
you can make it happen. Well,
Make
please
it
make it happen. How do we
happen.
get in touch with you, Dean?
Again, website topofmindgifts.ca, phone number 306-229-6411, and email dean@topofmindgifts.ca.
All right.
That's
This is a business question.
yeah,
Because I know with the way that we do business, and the way my grandfather says, and you'll hear me say about how important it is to give back. As a business professional, I know this climate is somewhat questionable, and I'm glad between US and Canada, and I just want to make sure everyone knows when they call you, is there a time difference between you and I?
oh, that's the question. I'm in Central Standard Time. Now I've got to get on my little podium here for 1 second because of the opportunity. Saskatchewan doesn't change time. So we're the same year round. We don't move our clocks. We've got it figured out, just like a couple places in the States. It's the rest of you that need to get on board.
I wish we
And
would.
I have not met somebody who doesn't. And I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. But so I'm in standard time and I don't change. Everybody else changes. Now, what that means is for most people, I'm in central time in the winter and I'm the equivalent of mountain time in the summer because standard time and daylight time are different time zones, different
Right.
things. Anyway, right now I'm in mountain time. So same as, I don't know, Minnesota in that area,
Mhm.
same region, 2 hours behind Eastern.
All right. So I would hope someone hears this and decides, let's just make it simple. It's easier for everyone to be on the same time.
Absolutely.
To do that. And I am so happy I had you on the show. I'm happy that you are a friend in my circle, and you have other layers of your business, and you are a master, not only as a master in the gift market, because giving is important because a lot of business take and they forget. And we have to remember the most important customer is the customer that comes back because you remember. And I think your cards make such an impression on someone. It makes you unforgettable. With all the other business cards that you may receive from a trade show or conference, whatever, that card is always going to stand out. And if your name and information is part of that pop up, then chances are when you need to make a phone call or you need to make a reference or referral, you don't have to try to think about who your plumber is going to be. The plumber will pop right up. God, that was pretty good, wasn't
That was pretty good. Like I fed you the line or something.
it? That is all right. So let's make Cut Code happen, and I would love to have them on the show. If you can come back and do the demonstration, however, would love to have that conversation about Cut Code because they've helped out a lot of college students. I'm hoping my listeners understand that being an entrepreneur is not just about making a lot of money. As my guest has stated clearly, it's about making a difference. It's about being special and putting the customer first, and then making an impression that's a lasting impression. Um, Real quick, what distracts you? Because I know you're very focused.
Everything. You know what? I'm going to make a little plug here. I genuinely, I joke about ADHD, but there's still such a stigma about some of the mental health issues, and I've kind of embraced it. I think we all have things that we're working on and challenges, and I'm no different than anybody else, but I think it's totally okay to be that way. And so I just wanted to throw that out. It's always good to try and support when you can.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that. I live with, from playing years of football and injury afters, I live with a TBI, traumatic brain injury. I grew up with ADHD. I didn't learn how to read or write until almost graduated from college. So I always say that people like you and I have a gift. We're special because, like anything else, when God tweaks something about you, he turns the volume up on something else. And I know my attention span lasts for 1 hour, 22 minutes. After that, I say squirrel, and I just say enjoy the ride. I know when my TBI kicks in, I stutter a little bit, I can't focus, and so forth. I've been on the show and people have questioned why you're looking down or whatever. It's because I have lights around me, and the lights with traumatic brain injury triggers um, has a triggering effect, and I get flashes of everything else, whatever. But the nice thing about it, I'm so engaged in talking to wonderful people like you. I am not distracted from what is going on in my head because I know the conversation that you and I are having is a conversation that needs to be had because there is someone that has shown up every single day to work at making someone else's dream come true, while at the same time they sacrifice their dream. And they always say, I need to jump. I need to go to that next level. I need to start my business. All right. Because I was always taught that the JOB means just over broke. All right. And my grandfather said, having a job is the biggest scam on the planet. You work 40 hours a week for 40 years and you still end up broke. So you might as well go ahead and work 40 hours a week, 365 days a year for a dream that comes true. Because when your dream does come true, you never have to worry about being broke, either emotionally or financially.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you came on this show. Is there a quote that you kind of live by, something that your mantra that gets you going every single day? Because I know every successful person has a secret to what they do. And the reason why I'm asking you this, because I'm now adding Dean Stanzel to a list of the 100 people that I have interviewed and sharing their secrets to their success. And I would like you to share your secrets.
Um, I think I'd like to claim credit. I'm not sure if this is my own or not, but it's say what you're going to do it, and then say you did it. What I mean by that is just tell people what to expect, make sure that you deliver on that, and then make sure that that's what they got from it.
All right. If you had two customers that you wanted, or two companies, or two vendors, or two celebrities that you wanted wanted to have your pop-up cards or do business with, which are those top two?
Well, I gotta say Taylor Swift just because she's popular and I like her music. I'm totally getting to this. I like girly high school music. Uh, Selena Gomez, the you name it. I like their kind of music, and Taylor's kind of the epitome of that. So I would say her on a fun level, but also on a very potentially impactful level because Mike, did I show you my head?
Yeah,
So my vision, I would love to see some celebrity have their actual much nicer head or body or a 3D model pop up of them. And if you can imagine all the little girls out there with, here's my birthday invitation. It's the Taylor Swift pop-up birthday invitation or weddings. If you have again, another vision I have, if you're a bride and groom, you're getting married, if in the whole shebang, what if your invitations were you, were the bride and the groom and your faces on them? Would that not be a really cool invitation?
that would
Or,
be.
yeah, and charities. I mean, I do stuff for those too. If they're doing a gala, they're doing fundraising, black tie dinners, universities, alumni, and I like to give back too. So in those kind of things, we have a program where we give back to a percentage to the charities so that we can help out and do our part as well.
Wouldn't it be amazing if, say for the Oscars, for the people that won Oscars,
Yep.
I've seen two Oscars in my lifetime, if they were able to send out to their family and friends with their name, their date, that they received the Oscar, the film, whatever, with a card that popped up and said, here goes the Oscar, so everyone can have that Oscar in their home, like you have three in the background of you sitting there. I mean, just imagine, from your wildest dreams. You say Taylor Swift. There's a lot of people that hate Taylor Swift, but I'm saying I'm a big fan. And I'm a big fan of the human being Taylor Swift because I know some of her backstories of some of the kind things that she has done that she never gets attention for.
Yep.
And as a person, she's a wonderful person. So I would welcome that pop up. But my imagination goes wild when of how many different ways that this pop up could be
Oh, for
um,
and you know what?
utilized.
Your idea about the Oscars, I think that's brilliant. I don't know where you came up with it, but that's I've got to pursue that because that's genius.
All right. Well, I'm going to invite you because I have a cruise ship planning for 2026, December 10th. That we're raising awareness through for let's see, to raise money for sickle cell. That will be ideal for that. All right. A fantastic voyage that we're having.
Yep.
And musical entertainment. Hey, we can do that. Royal Caribbean, watch out. Here we come.
We go.
All right. Is there anything that you want to leave with our viewers? Something that we haven't covered that you want to make sure that we bring up? We talked about the wonderful company you have. We've given your kids props. We didn't talk about your wife. You can say a shout out to your wife. And, how does 28 years of you being a workaholic work in a marriage? How does that work?
You know what? It's like business too. We've had our rough spots. We've had tough times. She's stood by me through a lot of garbage, and we've had our great moments as well. Three kids and so on. And thanks for the opportunity. I really do. I don't appreciate her enough, and I really want to take that opportunity to do so because she's the foundation. She always says when I go out and do presentations like this, I'm the show pony. I go out and talk and everybody sees me, but I don't do as well on the background stuff, on the little details and the stuff that really make it deliverable. And she does that for our family. So, yeah. Love you.
When this interview ends, I'm going to send you a song. I want you to not to listen to it, but I want you to play it when she's in the room and just tell her, say, this is what I think about you.
All right. Well, I will listen to it first, just in
No, no,
case.
no, no. You got to hear it for the first time at the same time. When you tell her afterwards, this is what I think about you. You're going to get a hug and a kiss.
Okay, I'll
I
trust you.
promise you. All right. One more time. How do we reach you?
Yep, Dean at topofmindgifts.ca. 306-229-6411, or my information's on the website, topofmindgifts.ca, just like the email. And check out strategic3dcards.com because we have a whole page there of all different cool cards we've done in the past. And just be prepared to go down the rabbit hole because you get you get mesmerized and you start looking at all the different ones, and then your imagination starts to go crazy.
All right. Well, I'm not going to leave or exit this show because I need to ask you because you are a great human being. You have been in this business a long time, and there's a lot of nuggets that I know we've talked about off camera that we didn't get a chance to talk about on camera. You got to write a book, Dane, and you got to have your own podcast. In order for this to continue to grow, you got to be in front of people's face every single day, at least once a week. Um, so please tell me you're writing a book.
Okay, this is hot off the press. Only your viewers know this. Literally, two other people I've told. I'm not good at writing. I hated English. I love Chat GPT and AI and stuff now just for the basic help it provides. So, and I have my kids hate the fact that I'm a dad and I've got dad jokes all the time and I think I'm funny and they don't. So they've kind of teased me over time, but they're like, you should, well, their words are you should stop telling jokes. But I think people do get a kick out of them, and I always laugh as well. So I said, well, you know what? I think I should be funny. I think I should share with people the things that I can laugh about myself. So I'm actually putting together a joke book, and this is the big secret. I'm doing it under a pen name just to be cool. So my pen name is going to be Zane E. Nalt, D apostrophe NALT. And you are the only people that are going to know that. So when you see that, when you see all these books coming out and this famous person, you will know who's actually behind it and you will have known first. There you go.
All right. Thank you for giving me the exclusive on there. And I want to thank you, Mr. Dean Stanzel. You are always welcome back. And I hope we can talk about Cutco coming on here. Bring them on. Because there's a lot of people here in the United States that, I mean, I know in my era, they used to show up in the middle of the night on an infomercial, and then I would see it in malls and so forth demonstrated. We need to bring it back. It is a great product. And for those people that have always dreamed of having a great knives that literally do everything, this is a brand name and they stand behind the company. I know the company's reputation. And if you had to have one knife in your kitchen, it needs to be a Cutco. All
Absolutely.
right. So I would love to have them on the show. And, maybe we can do something special with them. All right. So if you can put it together, let's do it.
I will put it together and I will have my daughter do it because as much as I love them, I'm still in the kitchen, cutting like every other person. She's like a master. She's the kind of person you watch and go, wow, that's kind of cool. Just like the pop-up cards. So she'd be perfect. I
All
will
right.
tell
That'll be fine. So
you.
to our listeners, all right, it's come to that time of the show that we must go. We are always beginning, never ending. So our guest, Dean Stanzel, will be back. He is the uh, master of gifts. He has a top of mind gift company. He has world of experience in creating great experiences for big business as well as small. If you happen to be one of those people that are just starting out and want to make an impact or impression, I need you to call Dean. All right. Asking for advice. If you want to make a bigger impression, buckle up and buy his product. Okay. And let him show you how it works. So we've covered a lot of information. Hopefully, with this story, we've made some type of impact on you that will change the view from the seat that you have right now. If you like what you have heard, go to our YouTube page at RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page. If you'd like to be a guest or you'd like more information about the conversation that we just had with the gift master, Mr. Dean Stanzel, please go to info@rmkproductions.org. All right. My grandfather always says, and let me back up a little bit because I'm going ahead of myself. To grow, you must make some mistakes. To have confidence, you must address your anxieties. To forgive yourself, you must hold yourself accountable. To learn, you must unlearn some stuff. And to exist, you have to do what Dean has done. Show up as more. Understand the power of your words. These are notes from a mindset messenger, myself. My grandfather always said, when you get to a place in life where you can help someone else out, it is your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. We fade to black.
Thank you.